The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And if you haven't fast forwarded through this part yet, here's Brandon.
Okay, we are here to wrap up my Live from PopCon series for PopCon Indy 2023, the last of which is my interview with Kim Is Possible, one of my fave cosplayers, is regularly seen at PopCon, as well as tons of other conventions. She's super talented. She talks of her work in cosplay and about disability in cosplay. She works through her disabilities and it molds her costumes around said disabilities and stuff. She's bubbly. She's a joy to hear talk. I like hearing her describe things. She's fun. She loves Ahsoka Tano. Before all you others did, she was on it. We talk a lot of fun. We do have a guy who walks into the convention hall and starts blaring bagpipes. And I was day 3 of a convention, exhausted, and he killed my brain every time they came on, and I felt so bad for Kim. And I do make some digs at the bagpipe guy, but what are you going to do? He's coming in hey, I'm going to be a nuisance to everybody. And I don't know. If someone can make me a trucker hat that has a bagpipes with a circle and a slash through it for the next PopCon in Indy, I will wear that sucker like no other. I'm or a shirt, or give me a no bagpipe shirt, or something like that, or something that refers to one of my digs in this episode. You know what? That's it. Something that refers to one of my digs in this episode. If I have a shirt of that, I wear it to PopCon with pride. I give you all the credit, but I apologize to Kim for something out of my control. But it's kind of rude if you ask me. There's PAs and praying dogs barking around the con, but that's just bagpipes, no place for it. But anyways, you'll remember her mom, Mary Mary Cosplay, I interviewed in Louisville, so I do have some bounce back questions to her from what her mother had told me prior, and it's really fun. I think they have a great family of cosplayers, and they're good people as well. Enjoy them a lot. Cannot wait to see them again. Love talking. So here is my interview with Kim Is Possible. Follow her at Kim_is_possible. Awesome cosplay. Learn a lot. Thank you for listening to the PopCon coverage this week on the Brandon Peters Show. Hi, Brandon Peters, host of the Brandon Peters Show and your PopCon podcast stage, MC. And also, I push Allison's anime art anytime I can. When you're walking by Allison's anime art. But this is the last podcast recording of the weekend. A relief for many of you, I'm sure, who have heard me. And this is a special one. It was going to be Friday, but we moved it. And I have Kim Is Possible, who is located over there on the complete opposite side of me from where I'm at. I'm by the men's room. She's by, what's near you?
We have the cosplay judging and the art area, and then a little bit up is Appa.
Appa. Oh, okay. So near an attraction. I'm near the toilet. So, okay. I don't know. Maybe I should take the hint from that. So, all right. So we're going to talk about her. And we're going to close it out. If you have questions, we will take questions. And feel free to come up. I have a mic, so you'll hear yourself. And then you can hear yourself. Not next week, but the week after on the Brandon Peters Show when I release this recording. So, Kim, let's get started. Let's start with the people who aren't at PopCon that are going to listen to this recording. Describe and tell people what you're dressed up as today.
I ended up doing a casual mermaid. I have a mermaid tail that I can put on and take off, but I have my leggings with it and my flower headband. I just wanted to keep it light and casual today.
All right. Very nice. I like the eyes.
Yeah, they're my favorite contacts. I use them for a lot of my costumes.
They look like hand-drawn. Is that intentional, or it's kind of neat?
Yeah, I got them for my Lilith costume from Owl House because they're the
Okay.
perfect blue, green, teal color.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I talked to Mary Mary Cosplay, your mother,
Yes.
at the last one. So I want so I asked, when the cosplay craze started with your family, but I want your perspective on what she brought. Because she said she went somewhere because of you
Yes.
and you dressing up, and she got ideas. But I want, if you can recollect that, I know young memories are hard to steer in your head, but what was your perspective on that one? What con was it? What was...
So my sister and I have always been into superheroes and comics. We grew up watching Justice League on TV and Gargoyles and like all those awesome 90s shows that like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we were always like the nerds. I remember being like 4 and playing Super Mario on the Nintendo and like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
If you don't mind, what iteration of the Ninja Turtles was this?
Oh gosh, it was like a flat scrolling screen. I think it was the original Nintendo. It was the one with Dr. Mario that played on it.
So I meant so you were the video game Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So you're into Ninja Turtles.
I was as a kid. I was into Power Rangers.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the superhero kid.
Do you still like
from way
Ninja
back.
Turtles?
I haven't really watched it recently.
Okay, because I got dogged because I championed that brand as one that has had a good legacy of always renewing itself and never going away, which is different than trying to nostalgia trip things because they always market to young kids every time. And they
do.
never try to cater to adults. They're like, you can come along, adults, but we need a new audience. And I really like this new movie we have. But yeah, so back to you.
I kind of really latched onto Star Wars more.
Okay.
Once I watched Star Wars, that kind of became like
You guys heard of that?
nerd thing.
Star Wars?
Star
You seen that?
Wars.
He's seen it. Okay.
So going to the Cincinnati Comic Expo was always something my sister and I wanted to do because we had gotten into reading comics now that we were adults and could afford to buy them. We were going to the comic store. We had a pull list. And so we really wanted to go to the expo. And we've always been a Halloween family, so we always made costumes. We always went the extra mile for the costumes. So I read up on making armor. And I made a Talon assassin from the Batman Court of Owls storyline. And then Mom's like, well, I don't want to be left behind, and we needed a ride anyway. So I had her and my other sister be the court. So we made them Court of Owls masks, and they dressed in fancy clothing, and they were our court. And we dragged her to the con, and she's like, what if the neighbors, what if I find someone I know? And then by the end of it, we were all just hooked.
That's great. And what was the immediate reaction and second attempt after that?
I jumped right in and decided I was going to cosplay Shakti from Star Wars. There were not tutorials out at the time for how to make her headpiece. So my first one was very clunky and heavy. And then the week I debuted Shakti, Jedi Amanda debuted Ahsoka, and we talked shop, and it kind of just grew from there.
Gotcha. So you're big on Ahsoka, right?
Yes, Ahsoka is probably my favorite character of Star Wars. Shakti was it for the longest time.
Okay.
I've always loved the Togruta race.
It's a deep cut right there.
It is.
That's that one. Yeah, I like that. But have you had a chance to take in Ahsoka, the first 2 episodes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I watched it right when it started.
There we go. Yes. Are you happy with it so far?
For the most part, it's just nitpicky things that I feel like is the general consensus where we're used to the voice actors showing
Right.
these huge emotions with their voices, and we're just not getting that right now. But we haven't also seen these characters in a deep emotional or high tense situation quite yet. They're kind of starting to build. So I'm excited to see where it goes and what Dave Filoni has in store for us.
Have you gotten any new inspirations cosplay-wise from just 2 episodes?
It makes me want to redo my Ahsoka, the Rosario version.
Okay.
I made that in a week because they announced Rosario a week out from C2E2, and I'm like, well, I have to meet her in her Ahsoka. So I literally threw it together in a week. patterning everything, just crazy, nonstop.
Gotcha. Okay, so with your cosplay, and you share some of your successes, because your Kazuhana is quite successful at about everything you touch, right?
Yeah, we found a bunch of talented people and friends, and we all like to make things, so we all started getting together and doing these big group events together. And it started off with my mom's sister and I, and we dragged our dad into it. And so we were all like competing against each other in competitions. It would be like the 4 of us, sometimes 5 of us, because we'd bring my other sister in costumes, and like we'd all be competing together and against each other.
Gotcha. Like what did you feel with cosplaying that was the turning point that kept you going with cosplaying? That you're like, you know what, this wasn't. I mean, we were having fun. We started taking it a little more seriously, but we can really make a run at this. Like, what gave you the confidence to like keep up with it?
I think it started when I won Best in Show with the Red Queen. I won a Masters category with her, and I tried her in another competition and won Best in Show. And the Red Queen was kind of like truly my first costume that didn't feel like I just got lucky with a win. Because I was going against some pretty hard hitters. Like that was Brittany Ganoza was one of the people I was competing against in that costume, and I came very, very close to beating her out. Like they nitpicked everything to pick between the 2 of us.
Gotcha. When was the first time you got like asked and got to be like we're promoting you as being at this thing?
Let's see. There is a very small con in Athens, Ohio called Rathacon. And
brilliant. Yep. Okay.
That, I think, is the very first con that had me as my own guest. My mom has always had very good success because she impressed the right people in the industry who opened doorways for her. But I've always been struggling to come out of that shadow as my own entity. And although we team up and we do this mega booth and everything together, I still like to remind people that we are 2 different people and we have our own thoughts on things.
Mom, I'm going solo.
I did tell her that next year I want to bring an Elsa-themed booth. That's just all Frozen all weekend.
All Frozen all weekend. In my game I had before, there was a little. It was Chris and I from the Normies poorly described a movie with 5 statements, and you had to guess it. Frozen was one of them, and it was tougher than it was supposed to be, I guess. But anyway, what skill set wise, where do you think you're like elite at, and where are you still hoping to get better at?
My paint jobs have always been my strongest suit, and my weird fabrication. I'm autistic and ADHD, so I come up with ways to create things that aren't necessarily like what a neurotypical person would think of. Like my headpieces, I sculpt out of tape and plastic bags, and then I skin it with something nicer. So I'm usually good at taking like trash and making it into like award-winning pieces.
Okay.
And doing like just adding unique ideas that people don't really see very much.
Gotcha. And I wanted to talk about also the thing about you that is a standout is your work in cosplay with disability.
Yes.
And so how are you making awareness of that, and what all have you done you know better than I do. I'm wordy because I've been on the mic for 3 hours, but what are you doing at every con or trying to do, and like how can people learn more in support of that?
So I do follow a lot of content creators on YouTube who are disabled as well. Some of them have gone viral. They have YouTube channels, and we all talk to each other and support each other. But it's also important to be an advocate for yourself. I'm sometimes in a wheelchair, and I had to have someone pushing me around because my hands would swell up from my fibromyalgia. So I finally got an electric scooter, and just being visible with these aids in some of my pictures, in my booth, and explaining to people, like, yes, I can stand, I can walk around, I can be mobile sometimes, but the more I do that, the more I'm going to hurt and then get to the point where I can't do that. So I am trying to teach people about ambulatory wheelchair users and Also kind of figuring out how to adapt your cosplay to your disability level. Because it's not just physical disabilities I deal with, it's mental ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like con floors can be very overstimulating.
Right.
So I would run panels on autism, anxiety, disabilities, and give coping mechanisms, such as like my Ahsoka has a pair of goggles that have sunglasses built into them. And it's just elastic that goes around the headpiece, so I can pull it down when the lights are too bright. Or I'll have like earplugs so that I can put earplugs in if it's just too loud. My Ahsoka headpiece is muffle.
Okay,
Everything. So I try and build that and my comfort into the costumes as well for my sensory disabilities.
Okay. How typically are the conventions and areas that you go to these conventions accommodating to you? How easy is it to get the accommodations? Are there some places that there's just no luck with it? Are they good about it? Like, I'm awful. I have stairs.
Mm-hmm. The anime cons are very, very, very good at disability. Like OhioCon, I think, is one that I always point to as like a good representation of that, because they have ramps, they have interpreters for all of their shows. So like you'll actually send for the costume contest skits that they do, you'll send, if there's any words, you'll send that ahead of time and they'll have interpreters signing.
Okay.
And then they have quiet rooms. So it's like a room, you know, off the side somewhere, and it's just a quiet room. The lights are dimmed. And so if you're getting sensory overload, you can just go there and decompress. Things like that can help a lot. Usually at comic conventions, like they don't have that kind of thing. So sometimes I have to go find a quiet hallway that they didn't rent and just decompress. Or like at Dragon Con, I think I took a nap behind a pillar once.
Gotcha.
So things like that can be really helpful, and like ramps are especially important.
So at PopCon this year, they not today, but Friday, you weren't here Friday.
I was not. I had to work. I could not get that off.
Okay, but you were here Saturday.
Yes.
So unlike other years, there was DJs blasting out there in the hall, and they had lights and loud. Did that affect you? I know you're way over there, but if you had to cross through the hallway.
Yeah, when I went out to get food, I'm like, oh, my autism does not like this. Because I don't like when I can feel the sound waves in my body.
Right.
So I get that it's fun for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But I like that it's not everywhere. Because there are some cons where they just have DJs everywhere and there is no escape.
Yeah, because I was new, like here, like just going, and I heard each end of the spectrum on whether they enjoyed it or not throughout the weekend. But you just describing everything to me, I'm like, that probably wasn't pleasant.
It wasn't, but the lines were pretty short for the food, so I wasn't out there very long, and I was able to come back in here, and like our corner has been quiet.
Right, that's good.
So,
So for people listening and stuff like that might be listening to the recording or for the audience, so I mean, you've described a lot of things, but would you be comfortable sharing like some nightmare scenario that happened to you at a con, just to describe what could be like if people don't accommodate, or if things go too wrong or not understanding around you? You don't have to share. I'm just asking.
I'm trying
your
to
permission.
think. I've always been really good at regulating myself.
Okay.
Actually, honestly, the grocery store is worse.
Really?
For me, because when I'm in a costume, it kind of helps because I'm like acting in character, and it's almost like a masking, but more fun. So things don't bother me, and I'm able to zone things out a little more when I'm focused and being in cosplay. But then other times, sometimes the costumes are just so much with all my pain conditions, and I just shut down. Like I've fallen asleep in my wheelchair, and I'm like, wow, I woke up and the con is over.
Okay.
So, but I had someone pushing me, so it didn't matter.
Right.
And there have been times I've like had to crawl under my friend's vendor booths and take a nap.
Gotcha.
So, like when you don't take care of yourself, you can run down and have like meltdowns or things like that. So I just always try and regulate and have people around me who know me, so that they can be like, hey, you need to eat some food, you need to drink some water, so that it doesn't get to that nightmare scenario. Because I think a nightmare scenario would be not taking care of yourself and then like maybe passing out in the costume contest line, which I have seen before from other people. So I think I like to prevent so that and be safe and try and prevent that from even getting to a point.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna try to tie that. Like, do you when you're cosplaying, do you play the role of the character, or are you just like, "Hi, I'm Kim"? Do you go Kim or Kimberly? As I ask on air
Kim,
before.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Do you go as just Kim dressed up, or do you take the role of the character?
I do a little of both. I'm in and out. Since I do a lot of Disney stuff, I'm always when I'm in Disney, I am always kind of I got that smile on the face, and I'm trying to I put on this front because if a kid sees me and they're like, "Oh, that's Cinderella," you don't want her to be terrified to Cinderella because she's not she's in a mood. But cosplaying just makes me happy anyway, so it's not really that hard of a.
Does it help with the mental thing with your challenges there? Does it help mask things for you and get you through a day a bit?
I think it does. And when I'm able to interact with the kids in character, it's good practice for the character company stuff that I do.
Okay.
But it also just brings that little touch of magic to kids at the con, and that's a special feeling in itself. Being able to make a kid smile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Do you have any any weird horror stories or weird occurrences that happen during conventions that fun? I got funny bad that have happened to you before.
I got horrendously sick during a contest once.
In the middle of it?
Yeah, I had to run off. I was about to go on stage, and I had to run for a trash can. I was ill. I did not know I was ill going into the day, because you never know, with fibro or the autism, you feel off, and you're just oh, well, that's just my stuff. And then, literally after prejudging, I was ill the whole night. And after I came back, they're okay, you can go on stage to do your thing now. And I went and I won the first place, but man, that was awful.
Oh, wow. Did people see this, or were you able to get it in private?
People saw it because I was right next to the 501st people.
Oh, okay.
But they were friends of mine, so they were actually "Are you okay? Do you need water? Do you need me to hold something?" So it's nice having people at the convention around, all the vendors and friends that you make there.
Oh, yeah, true. You
support.
You come to these things and you just naturally gravitate to the people you see regularly a lot of the time. That's kind of what's happening. What happens here a lot. I had the stage last year here. I was right at the end of the chairs, I believe you started, and that's how I took note of you. And then when I went to Louisville, I'm I know, okay, I'll ask because I needed material for the stage and stuff. And your mother graciously came on and killed an interview, and it was very nice. And then she said, "You got to have Kim, you got to have her, trust me." And I said, "Okay." So, but yeah, that's kind of what's happening. Is there any long term with really good bonds that you've had that are if I wouldn't have hit this con, we'd have never met, and things have gone rock solid with any collaborators?
A lot of my friends. I know people in the 501st in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky between all the events I do with princess companies, all the conventions I do. I know Wolfgar has been friends with us for a long time. Perlertrix, he's a friend of ours. Okay. Jen Amanda, Brittany Ganoza, Casey Renee. I'd call them all friends, on a cosplay, friend kind of level.
Do you know James Wolfgar's real name?
I don't know his real name, actually.
I know his real name.
I learned it once, and then I forgot because he's just James Wolfgar on Facebook.
I won't say it aloud on here, but him and I have a mutual friend, and she's she'll call him by that just to annoy him. Mm-hmm. So I know it.
I've heard it once. It's just been a long time.
It's not bad. It's just all right, I get your thing. So yeah, and they're great people too.
I get putting up a protective persona. I mean, I usually just go by Kim. I don't really put my last name on much of anything. Even signing up for contests, if they don't ask for a last name, I just put my cosplay name.
Okay, yeah. There you go. And your cosplay is a spin on Kim Possible?
It's a spin on Kim Possible.
I don't know anything about Kim Possible other than Kim Possible.
I was a teenager in high school when Kim Possible was playing, so I would watch it after school every day, and my dad started calling me Kimmy Cub in the show, and we share a first and a middle name. So it was just too funny, and she's she's almost like this superhero, but she's not. So I really enjoyed the character.
So was it a social media handle first, and then you took it as a name, or was it the name and then that became your social media handle?
When I started deciding on a social media handle, that's kind of what I came up with, and that's my game handle. Like, I just go by that on everything.
All right, very cool, very cool. Does anybody have any questions for her since I have people sitting here? If you want, yeah, come on up. Come on. All right. First, I want to know your name.
Allison.
Allison.
Not to be confused with Allison art.
Not to be confused. Allison's anime art. Selling anime art. This really cool hand-drawn glass stuff is awesome. You people walking by, stop and walk up to her and say, "What you got over here?"
We've met.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, how many PopCons is this for you?
I think it started coming in like 2021, but I've been doing anime conventions since 2011.
All right. Have you met her before any of these or seen, recognized?
I mean, if it was, it might have been when you were Kim Possible at one point, possibly. I'm not entirely sure.
I was Kim Possible like twice before. I didn't have the body confidence to have the tummy open, so I've been wanting to make her super suit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So she caught a rarity, a cosplay rarity from you.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
She's like, stop it, dude. Let me ask my question. All right, go ahead.
No, I'm okay with it. So I wanted to ask, so you mentioned that Shakti was like your favorite Star Wars person before Ahsoka came along.
Yeah.
So it made me wonder, have you seen the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars? And if so, have you seen her in that?
Absolutely. I clung to that because that was my only Shakti I had. And the fact that in the Siege of Mandalore arc, Dave put the line, "Shakti has gone to protect the Chancellor," as a nod to that, made me cry.
Yeah, it kind of makes me glad that we didn't get the deleted scene of her actually being killed by Grievous on camera. Although it definitely makes sense with the cartoon.
Actually, on my way here, I found out that Dr. Aphra 32 has a variant cover with Shakti on it. And I'm like, Dad, I need you to order this for me right now. Because I can't because I'm in the car. But I'm like, I need you to order this for me before it goes to collector prices.
For sure, yeah.
I think the Tartakovsky one is voiced by Grey DeLisle, if I remember correctly.
I'll have to look it up. I
think it is, because it's like she's the same person who does like Daphne from Scooby-Doo and
she's Asajj
Azula.
Ventress in the new Clone Wars, which is my sister's favorite character.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, thank you, Allison. Not Allison's anime art, Allison. Brandon Peters' show, Allison. Well, she was on the Brandon Peters show yesterday. Never mind. Both of you, wonderful people. All right, back to us.
Okay.
So she brought up something like a cosplay rarity. Do you get stuff requested? Like, can you please do this one when you come to our con? Or what's one of your most popular ones?
Probably Ahsoka.
Okay.
Everybody wants to see Ahsoka. Sometimes it would be like, I guested at a con called Cosplay World Richmond. It just had its second year. The first year, they saw that I had gotten into the Crown Championships of Cosplay with my Rapunzel costume. And they were like, "We want you to wear that to our con. We want you to wear this beautiful piece." So I did, and then I did a sing-along with a princess panel and did like a princess meet and greet with some of the other guests there. So that was like a really cool thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, a lot of the times I'll get like just, people from my Star Wars fans and stuff. They're like, "Please bring Ahsoka."
So I got this question. I just remembered that I like to ask for the cosplayers and stuff. It's like a and a kind of question. So it's two parts. First part. What do you want, A or B first?
I don't care.
Oh.
We'll go with A.
Kim is indecisive. Okay. So what is one that you worked really hard on, like put a lot of effort into, were excited to debut it somewhere, and it just didn't take off like you thought with either a contest or social media reaction, or people at a con didn't seem to care to get much pictures, but you worked really hard on it and you were like, this is a surefire hit?
Surprisingly, it's She-Ra.
She-Ra. Okay.
because I did my own design on it, and I guess it's not like as instantly iconic as the Netflix She-Ra. I did a helmet instead of the tiara because I wanted to try and do the blacklight contacts.
Okay.
And that never ended up panning out. The contacts were like not doing good things to my eyes, so we're like, we're not doing this. So I want to revamp her and rework her.
Okay.
But I was like posting it and hashtagging everything at the height of the show, and like nothing.
Dang.
I'm like, look, I did a photo shoot with my horse as Swiftwind.
The bagpipe guy has returned to PopCon 2023. Yep. All right. We're recording. Thank you. All right. He's going to go back at it. Don't worry. Okay. On the flip side, one that you like not lazy, but less effort, like, and it took off.
I have to think about that.
Your mother's answer. Can you guess your mother's answer to that?
It was Flo.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm standing there in She-Ra, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's Flo! You should win the costume contest! Thanks, I entered in this thing I worked incredibly hard on. She bought that on Amazon. Let's see, something that took off. I haven't really had a success take off. I did do a random TikTok with Shock T that got like over 100,000 views.
Okay.
I'm literally just rolling in my wheelchair saying, "Where's Vader? I'm going to run him over." It went like viral for my channel.
She's funny. That's what, yeah. I like this
Like-
girl. She's funny.
I don't know. It just went viral for my channel.
Gotcha. What's your favorite bagpipe song? What's your favorite volume at which to enjoy bagpipes?
0. That's another one of my autism, like, is bagpipes. 'Cause I'm very sensitive to high-pitched noises, and that's a bagpipe.
If you were to bury bagpipes underground, how deep would you bury them?
Far. Far.
Do you think they play underwater?
You kind of need air to play the bagpipes, so I'm going to go with no.
Gotcha.
I think we could drown them, and they would be fine. Like, it would be fine. We wouldn't hear it because they can't play.
Gotcha. Anybody got questions? You're out there. You're listening. Am I asking the ones you want to ask? No. All right. So, do you have anything you're currently working on that you haven't shown and you'd be able to tease or share with us openly?
I have a plan more than anything else. I found out Susan Egan is going to be at GalaxyCon in Columbus in December. That's my birthday weekend.
Oh, okay.
And Belle from Beauty and the Beast was my Frozen. Like, you know how girls go crazy for Elsa? Belle was mine. So I'm going to make the Broadway Belle gown replica of what Susan Egan wore when she played Belle on Broadway. Because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of Hercules people there for her because that's what they're like advertising her as. But I'm like, she's a Broadway singer.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Did you go to GalaxyCon last year in Columbus?
I did.
I was there. I did not see you. I was very Jodie Whittaker focused when I was there, but yeah.
Yeah, I was Elena, Rapunzel, and Elsa.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Okay.
And it's going to be another princess weekend this time.
There you go. You crush it. Why
Really
not?
push it. Well, my sister's coming to this one, so she's going to be the Anna to my Elsa for the masquerade. So we're very excited about doing that together.
Oh, that's awesome. So you'll collaborate with your sister, but Mom, I'm stepping out of the shadow.
A little bit, yeah. No, I collaborate with my mom a lot of the time. I've actually given her costumes to do with mine. Like she's going to make a sea siren to go with my mermaid character.
Oh, very nice.
It's just when I'm doing booths and merchandise, what gets sold the most is the Elsa theme things. I get tips when I'm Elsa. People buy my snowflakes for their kids when I'm Elsa. I don't really push merchandise. Like, it doesn't get pushed that much when I'm not there, like, in character, because I guess it just adds to the experience.
Gotcha. What year were bagpipes in style?
Somewhere in history?
Would you ever cosplay with bagpipes?
No. Brooks would, though. My friend Brooks absolutely would.
Gotcha. Would he play them as he cosplays?
If he knew how, I'm sure he would.
Gotcha.
He blew a horn in the middle of Dragon Con as Boromir and did the whole For Gondor speech.
Gotcha. Okay, zero budget. What are you doing? Cosplay, dream cosplay.
Zero
budget.
Oh, that's a good.
Zero bagpipes, zero budget. That's how we roll.
Honestly, zero budget. I would be buying all the silicone stuff for Star Wars. Like, I always thought it would be fun to be Cad Bane from Star Wars, but
Okay.
I would only want to do it with the silicone mask because that's the only way you can emote. Or like Ahsoka headpieces, I would love to make one out of silicone and like sculpt it and mold it, but I don't have the space to do that in.
Gotcha.
Or a silicone mermaid tail. That's like the end goal.
Okay. Where do you get in a tank for your booth so you can?
That would be so much fun. That's the dream, is to like be a professional mermaid. That's like the new thing I'm getting into.
Reverse aerial. I want to go from human to mermaid.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Not again.
It's my kryptonite, I guess, is bagpipes.
We just get a backing track.
Back into I'm like, I have a question, and it erases from my head the minute those start. Allison, can you tell the bagpipes to cut it? No? Is he buying art from you at least? Yoink him from his mouth. All right. Anyway, watch, it's not even going to appear on the recording, but I'm sure it will. Sorry. All right. Anyway, okay. Any questions for her to say over the bagpipes? You got a question? No? Okay. We're good. All right. Where was I going with this? Okay, so you travel a lot. Like, how often do you travel? How many cons are you doing? Is it every weekend or almost?
It has been for the past month to
Okay.
2 months. Starting in August, I was pretty much like gone every weekend, and it's going to continue through mid-September, and then I get like 1 weekend break where we'll probably go to the Ohio Ren Fair.
Okay. Jeez. That's a lot. Do you like? It's like, is that like the new like traveling carnival thing? Because it's like the same people at a lot of these things going, or? But it's cool.
Sometimes. I love going to the Ren Fair just because you get to do like, I like to make original characters, and they don't always like get much attention at Comic-Con because people want to see you in the characters they know and love. But at Ren Fair, I can be like my Dungeons and Dragons characters, and people love it because they like seeing the creativity and like the Ren Fair garb and the historical fashion that you can bring to it.
Gotcha. In addition to Ren Fair, what other kind of events do you book for or show up for, aside from cons and the Ren?
I do. I'm a princess entertainer.
Okay.
So sometimes I'll be at ballparks performing as a character, or at children's birthday parties. The company I'm in does a lot of work for country clubs.
Okay.
And so they bring the princesses in for certain times. So that's kind of like the other stuff that I'll do, is like the children's events.
Okay, that's exciting, and make that little sparkle, make your
Bubbles are magic.
Yeah, it's like, is it like the kids, like they give you joy watching? Like, are they just like too much sometimes for you, the kids, when you're a princess? Because I imagine they go nuts.
It depends on how big the crowd is. I did have one where it was like, this party was basically like 3 families having, like, they rented out a country club and had birthday parties for all their daughters. And so it was like 3 families worth of people plus their friends. And they had like a ball pit for the little ones, and they had a magician. Like, this was a very expensive party. And they brought us princesses in. And, you know, the adults are all just chatting, and like, we had a handler with this one.
Okay.
But one of the boys came up with like some toy swords. And he's like, what would you do if I hit you with this? And I was Cinderella, so I squared up and kind of narrowed my eyes. And I'm like, that's not very princely of you. I swear this kid shrank 5 inches.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's wonderful.
So I've kind of gotten used to like being in character, but still being like, hey, I am not somebody that you can just push around.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do you have, let's roll into, do you have any advice, tips, shopping tips or anything of people starting up cosplaying and Either tips for experts, tips for beginners, words of encouragement.
So for beginning in cosplay, you kind of have to decide, do I want to just go for fun and be in this character, or do I want to make things and maybe be a competitor? There's a lot of avenues you can take. We just jumped into the making things because that's what we knew, and we're all artists and creative and did art classes and things like that. But that's not the only way to cosplay. There are costumes I buy just because I want the convenience of having this costume without making it.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And so you have to decide, what's my budget? I see a lot of really cute costumes that were just thrift store. Like they went to the thrift store and they modified it, or they put their outfit together from things they found online. So you got to look at your budget, what you want out of your cosplay. And then you can go from there. And then some places to buy things. Pro Cosplay is pretty my standard for superhero suits because I hate making Marvel suits. Never again.
No more Marvel?
No more. I made 3 Marvel costumes and I hated every one of them. It's because it's vinyl and my machine hates it.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess we'll wrap up here. Any last words to say?
I think cosplay is for everyone, and I think that even if you are disabled or you have some mental disabilities, cosplay can really help you in being more confident in yourself and be a big self-esteem boost and give you something to just really look forward to and finding a great community.
Gotcha. I appreciate you taking the time, coming over here, being in contact with me, being a good communicator, and getting you here to record for this a lot.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. I'm going to title it Brandon and Kim as Possible versus the Bagpipes.
Yes.
I think that's what I'm going to call this.
Go fight those bagpipes. Where's a lightsaber?
Versus the Bagpipes. But yeah, so let's hear it for Kim as Possible. Those of you who are here, there are people here. I'm not lying. There are some other podcasts that did lie about that, but I'm not a liar. That is it for this recording and the podcast stage. I appreciate everyone who came out to any of the podcasts this weekend and joined a recording. Very happy to do it. I had a great time, and I hope you had a good time at PopCon. You can listen to any of these recordings with the show they were at, and my show is the Brandon Peters Show. These recordings will not be dropping this week. That'd be insane. Then next week, they should be dropping, and you can, if you were on one, you can hear yourself. You can hear yourself. You believe that or not? Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carl and Chris. 10 years of PopCon. Awesome time. This has been the podcast stage that's across from Allison's Anime Art. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day and con.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.